the balsamic stage of life. I met someone at a bar where regulars gathered, had a few, talked, chatted about the day's events. One working guy with a hard-earned pension lectured over a glass of wine. Life is like a jacket. If it gets too tight, just shrug it off. Easier said than done. I was trying to shrug off my life for the past 2.5 years, and it was getting tighter by the moment. At 64 years old, I was in a balsamic stage. As I continually cleaned out closets, storage chests, trunks, and basements, throwing out what wasn't necessary for my last chapter of life. I hoped it would be a long one, but maybe it depended on how I maneuvered the balsamic stage. I had already gone through the clothes closet, making a pile of throwaways, giveaways, a pile of large black crepe-like garments looking like heavy garbage bags lay at the foot of the bed. One garment I picked up, held to the light, and rented it with cutting shears, feeling the fibers stretch and tear as I chanted and hissed through my teeth, steam rising from the heap of fabric at my feet. That was easy. It had always been easy for me to throw away what I no longer needed. Purging drove me to ecstasy. It was an ecstatic ritual for me, as if dancing to heights of Dionysic rage, grabbing what was no longer necessary, no longer symbolic, or readable of who and where I was and why. I viewed clothing like signposts, journal entries of who I was seeing, where I was, in my estimation of progress, my external chronicling of my internal state of mind. I like to keep my audience entranced, my unknowable fans somehow involved in the latest transformation of self. I didn't know my public, but that was the point. A performer was only as good as their audience, and I wanted to meet them with equanimity. It required real voodoo, real knowledge of spells to cast, cornmeal to toss, to transform oneself. I made lists of qualities to throw away and others to keep. What communication behaviors drove my daughter crazy? What habits drove her to a frenzy of screams and wails? Maybe my inability to make coffee without spilling 1,000,000 grams on a silverware tray. Maybe it would be easier to take acid. I remembered a past time of purging. Maybe it was another balsamic cycle. But no, I think it was a Uranus transit. I threw out my journals at a time in 2005 when, leaving the comfortable life in Santa Rosa, I had relocated to the city, the Castro neighborhood, to go through a series of breakups, career reversals, and loss of investments as my funds dwindled in my pursuit of a new self, a new career, a new being. Throwing off the frumpy public school clothing to the newer, hipper uniform of a real estate agent and cougar on the prowl. I had thrown Tuscany glass earrings, gold pendants from simple gold chains, from suitors not knowing my taste in jewelry, on ash cans in the neighborhood, blessing those from above in my condo flat, hoping some deserving drone would pick them up. I gave, they took. I, in my Elysian rites, sage incense clouding the ceiling, drums beating, I heard the phone ring. To hear someone in a concerned, breathy voice, "I found your journals, and I thought you wanted them back." "Hell no," I cried, and flung the cell across the room. I would rather drink blood. It was much harder than it looked, getting rid of things. It wasn't just like making two piles, new, old, I explained to my friend. who was going through a divorce and migration from her beloved home in the Berkeley Hills. A forced transformation. Melinda didn't want to leave, but relished the new house, the new life she would create with a new partner, a new man. I thought, too, she was going through a balsamic stage. It was harder than it looks, I told Melinda. It's not like tossing a salad. It was a full moon, and I was determined to finish the last stages of cleaning the closet and transforming myself from the hulking, overweight sledge of a woman to a self-artistic, exotic artist-poet, emerging from the subterranean depths of womanhood to a sage of domestic wisdom. In about 2 days, I was reading with a group of writers I had been meeting with, regularly massaging our well-kept secrets into transformational moments. I had to find a way to make it work, looking like I was the face, the person, the image of the emerging thing, though past my prime, who would rock and merge as visible, triumphant, a goddess with snakes circling my wrist. It wasn't as easy as it looked, I muttered, throwing possible combinations of designer tops with retail flimsy trash designer tops with cowboy boots and fishnets. It either looked too contrived or too bizarre. I sweated Epsom salts, dove into piles, and reaching for the scissors, hoping my practice ritual of renting cloth would work. When I stopped midair, aimed it for my chest as if to pierce my heart, when like a lightning bolt, it hit me. Just be yourself, I muttered, and relaxing, I fell to the piles and laughed. The balsamic stage had ceased.
Lost and found. I'm a storyteller, and all these years I've been spinning my yarns, weaving my web of subterfuge, and yet I have been afraid to say it. I weave my own cloak of invisibility, and it weaves me. I have climbed down to the bottom. First, I opened the manhole on Market Street. It clunked to the ground with a thump. The cover clanged as it wobbled back and forth into the inky night. I placed one of my toes on the first rung on the ladder, and then another toe of my red-heeled shoes, until suddenly I found myself deep underneath the ground, under the street, gazing up at all the feet. And I lay there for a decade, crouched underneath in this underground stagnant place, waiting for it to feel safe until the whole world died and a new one grew up in its place. Singing from the well I rose, one fleshy haunch at a time, sprouting cherry blossoms all around me, an ice plant up my back. Singing I emerged from hell and back again, a beautiful glimmer, Persephone reascending. Springtime and the world is found. Grass grows up around the bones, the ground, the little warbling